At this point, we are counting the hours down to WWE Payback, the first premium live event in Pittsburgh in over 5 years. Get there at PPG Paints Arena if you can, or if not, watch live on Peacock. And we got several title matches, one of them being the women's world title from Raw with the champion Rhea Ripley defending against my guest that we have right now, Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel, hello, and how are we feeling ahead of the biggest match of your career?
Well, Justin, I am excited. There's really that's not the only emotion, obviously. I'm very excited. This is my first PLE singles match. And of course, it's against Rhea Ripley, who's pretty much set up a reputation amongst all of the women in WWE as being the most dominant. But in the past few weeks, I feel like I've shown her that there's someone else who's a little bit bigger. And I hope that, that going into this match, she realizes that this isn't going to be just a cakewalk, Like, we're going to go in there and we're going to have a battle, because this is not just about me. It's about what she's done to Liv, and it's about her taking the titles away from us and not giving the women in the division opportunities. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm fired up. I know everybody else is fired up. Like, I'm trying to sit still here, but it's not working.
Well, you mentioned bigger, and I think that's one of the appealing things that when you look at this, whether it's the poster or obviously you two nose to nose, face to face in the ring, you are somebody who, from a physical stature, you can stand up to Rhea. And I think that to the audience, that's a very interesting dynamic, because, as you said, she's been so dominant with her reputation, taking out other talent on the roster, but you present a different kind of challenge to her that we have not seen Rhea Ripley have to deal with.
Yeah, she's definitely been getting an ego boost from hanging around those boys and knocking some boys down. But just because I haven't stepped into a ring with a boy yet doesn't mean Dom's not going to get his butt whooping from me soon.
I think people would react to that. They get a big pop of that. Talk about, you've got a lot of, in your career thus far through NXT and through WWE, you've had a lot of tag team success. And obviously you and Liv just recently, and then now she's out. And so this is a pretty kind of sudden transition in thrust as a singles performer, and getting this big opportunity. What changes for you when you go from a tag team situation to singles?
There's a lot that changes, I really have to keep my head on a swivel, and I have to stay on my toes pretty much, especially with someone like Rhea Ripley, because I don't have the numbers game against her. She has that. I lost my partner. There's no one standing there that has my back the way that she has Dom. So I definitely know that I have to be alert at all times. I have to be ready for whatever it is that I think she's going to try and throw at me. But there's no saying anything could happen. Dom might be banned from ringside, or something might happen and he might not be out there with her. Who knows? Who knows what really is going to happen? But that's really what changes for me, is that I just know that I don't have anyone to watch my back, so I have to watch my own.
Let's talk a little bit about your journey, Raquel. Fans, rightly or wrongly, sometimes get hung up on where talents pass. Do they work the independent scene of professional wrestling? Do they come from another sport? You kind of have an interesting blend, because you are a collegiate athlete who then went from that and transitioned into the Performance Center and the WWE system. But you are a second-generation performer. Your father was a pro wrestler, which I'd love to talk more about in a second. So what has that journey been like for you in terms of going from, again, athlete to squared circle?
Honestly, it's been a pretty easy, I feel like, transition for me. It's felt natural, and I think that has partly to do with when I was younger. We were always on the road with my dad, traveling, watching him work, going to his shows, pretty much kind of being on his schedule when he was training, wherever that was, somewhere in Texas or Mexico. And then when I started to get to the age where I wanted to start wrestling, that's when my dad was like, no, you're going to go to college. You're going to get a diploma. You're going to get a degree. So that's when I started to play basketball, because I saw him coaching it and I thought, this looks fun. This looks aggressive too. I want to, take a swing at this. And I naturally fell into that too. And I fell in love with it. And basketball for me immediately started to be something that I literally live, breathe, and ate basketball. There was nothing else in my life. I was playing AAU. I was on the road constantly. I was playing with girls in my level and girls in a higher level, just trying to get more competitive. It was just multiple teams all year round. And thankfully, my dad, he had a job where he was able to take time to go and do these things with me, because he was very involved and he wanted to be very hands-on. And then of course going into like high school, you know, you're on the road, you're traveling, it's all year round. Same thing in college. You start in the summer, you know, you got preseason training. So it's an all year round thing. You're on the road, you're constantly living on the road, staying in hotels and stuff like that. So I feel like for me, this became just a natural transition. And it's actually helped me a lot because basketball showed me what it's like to be a part of a team, and it showed me discipline, and it showed me commitment to not just myself but to the greater good of, you know, the team that I'm a part of. And I feel like that also has affected me in NXT and in WWE. We're all a team. We all want the greater good of our product to be successful. And of course, you have to be very determined. You have to be very committed. You have to be mentally strong to get through these things because it's not an easy lifestyle. But I have a big backbone. You know, my dad and my family are my biggest support team, and of course a few of my friends. And I have just gotten so lucky that I have them behind my back while I've been on the road, living on the road.
Tell us a little bit more about your dad, the name he wrestled under, and does that provide pressure to because you know it's sons and daughters going into the line of work that their parents did is not unusual.
Yeah.
But pro wrestling is such a unique craft that I'd just be curious what kind of critique you're getting from your father.
Oh, you know, I'm used to that too because I got critique from him all throughout my basketball career. He was my second coach. That man was on every court, standing there, yelling at me, telling me what to do all the time. I remember my high school coaches used to tell me, "Stop looking at your dad," because I'm supposed to be listening to them, but I was listening to my dad. But he went under the name Rick Desperado Gonzalez. He also went under Speedy Gonzalez. He wrestled a lot in territories. In Mexico, he did some lucha. There is a little bit of pressure, I think, because I've always wanted to live up to my father's expectations. But the best thing about it is that my dad, he really just supports me no matter what, and no matter what position I'm in. He just wants the best for me, and he wants me to be happy. So as long as he knows that I'm doing whatever I can to make myself proud and make myself successful, he's fully happy with that. And so I'm so grateful.
Very cool, very cool. Obviously, success in NXT. Now again challenging for a Raw Women's title. Triple H obviously worked with him a lot then through NXT and then through now. What's the rapport like as Raquel Gonzalez is or Raquel Rodriguez, excuse me, is you know, as the audience is continuing to learn more about you, continuing to learn about your story, like what's that collaboration like working with him?
You know, it's still a work in progress. It really is, because he's got so much on his plate right now too. You know, he's got a lot of talent under his belt. He's got NXT going, you know, on the rise. So he's really involved in that too. It's really what we've been talking about when it's come to this feud, pretty much. You know, my feud with Rhea Ripley, how I fit into that, how I can be the biggest threat possible to the women's champion, who arguably is one of the most dominant women champions that we've had in women's wrestling up to this time. So it's been very much on how I can give my very best into this position. Character wise, I feel like that's still, you know, we're going through a roller coaster right now. I know I'm going through all these different changes and emotions, and I've lost my friend, I've lost my tag partner, and now I have, you know, Payback coming up, and I want redemption against Rhea Ripley for everything she did to me, for what she did to Liv. And so he's very hands-on when it comes to that. He's very much an open door. I can go to him, I can ask him questions. If something is not sitting right with me, I can go and talk to him about it, and he is awesome to be there and give the best advice that he can from his experiences, in which it's always grateful to have that.
Who have been some other talent, male or female, that have been instrumental in helping you behind the scenes as you come up?
Yeah, definitely. I would have to say, of course, Scotty 2 Hottie. So back in the day in NXT, Rhea Ripley and I were the first two females to be put into an all-male class, and that was Scotty 2 Hottie's class. And he really opened up our eyes to a different level that I think we both weren't seeing when it came to wrestling in WWE. And he pushed us pretty much out of our box, out of our comfort zones, and really gave us the elevation that we needed for other people to see us. And of course, there was Steve Corino, Road Dogg has been very instrumental when it's come to Raquel and her success and her debut and her career. Braun Strowman's been very hands-on and very helpful with his opinions, as has Baron Corbin. Natalia too, she's been very great with sharing her experiences. I've had so many amazing mentors. Dakota Kai, as much as our relationship has kind of dwindled apart, starting with her and being her backup really set me up for success because she has so much experience to share, and she was willing to just give me all of her knowledge at the same time.
Very cool. That's a fun fact. You and Rhea were the first two females to be in an all male class. Otherwise, that's
yeah. We were all separated at that time too. It was the women had the women's class, or you were kind of mixed in with like the new beginners, and there was a few female and men in that one as well. But once you, of course, accelerated, it was back to an all women's class, all men's class. Wow. But we learned so much being in an all men's class too, because we were able to work with men who had years of experiences as well. And it's just like being on the basketball court or any sport, really. You get onto that field, you get onto that court or into that ring with someone who has years of experience. You're going to learn something. You might lose, but you're going to learn something.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to know Raquel a little bit when she's not in the ring. First off, every superstar has to have something. You come out, you turn your back to the camera, but it's to show off those back muscles. How many days, how many hours are we putting towards the back in the gym?
We put about I try to do pull-ups, especially 2 to 3 times a week. I train back one time a week. It's just my best asset. That's the one thing that I'm very proud of, because it's genetics. I would have to say it has to do a lot with that. But it's the widest part of me too. So I'm like, it was something that I was very self-conscious about being younger, just because as a female, it's hard to, one, fit into clothes, to not be bigger than all of the boys and all of the girls. Even if you did have crushes on the boys, you were way bigger than them. And 3, again, it's hard to fit into clothes, so you don't always feel the best, and being in wrestling, it's really showed me how to just embrace it, embrace being big, embrace being wide. Like I'm something that you don't see every day. And I'm learning to love that more and more and more, because there's not many 6-foot Latinas with wide backs walking around. So I'm very grateful that this job has opened my eyes to a whole nother world of seeing myself.
Well, good on you to see that, because it's a visual business. I always like to refer to the airport test. You see somebody walk the airport, it stands out for some reason. That's important. That's something you can't.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Thank you.
What's a day off like for Raquel? No, aside from the gym, what's a day off? You're relaxing.
Oh man, so a day off for me is I put my dog online a lot. I love my little Pepe. He's like my best friend when we're here and we're just hanging out. A day off for me is really like sleeping in. Maybe going for a good morning walk, getting a good breakfast, taking Pepe to the beach if the weather allows, or if not, then we just kind of hang out at the house and just be couch potatoes, watch some TV, catch up on TV, because I don't really watch too much TV as it is, and nap all day. We do love to nap. We nap and we cuddle hard.
I was gonna say, if you're a couch potato, I mean, maybe you're not watching current TV, but there's got to be like, I don't know, old sitcoms from the 90s or something. Like, what's something you just put on the background and just...
Oh my God. Okay. So from the 90s, I watch a lot of older movies. So I like to rewatch Austin Powers a lot because it's just so funny. All of them. I love Austin Powers. Since I was little, that's just what I watched.
Not exactly kid appropriate, but it's the jokes still hold up. They still hold up.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
I watch a lot of Friends, of course. Okay. Friends is a big one. But newer stuff, like I rewatched New Girl for like the 5th time. It's always something that's very lighthearted and funny. I'm back on my Yellowstone kick. So that's kind of where we're at. We're up and down with all the movies and shows and stuff. My taste in all of this is all over the place.
So if you're a Friends fan, are you a Monica? Or are you a Rachel? What are you? What's your... I know that's
like I love Phoebe. I just love Phoebe. Yeah, because she's just so lighthearted and she's just always Phoebe. There's nothing ever wrong with Phoebe.
That's awesome. Favorite sports team?
Oh, favorite sports team, San Antonio Spurs, of course. Texas girl. All right. I got to shoot for my Spurs.
There you go. Pet peeve. You're out in the world. What's a pet peeve? Drives you nuts?
Well, at the gym, it's definitely re-racking weights. It is, guys, it only takes a few minutes to put your weights back, all right, and clean up after yourself. It's not that hard, and I don't understand how these gyms are so weights all over the place and unclean. But out in public, I would think it would be slow walkers. I think maybe because of my long legs, I'm a little bit of a fast walker, but I'm still naturally a fast walker too. My mom's a speed walker. So when I'm behind someone, I'm just like, even at the airport, I'm just like, come on, move, please. Come on, move. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Keep patience. We're going to get there.
Well, it's tough too. You being somebody who's on television, it's like, if you they're like, oh, look at Raquel, being all rude out here in public to people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no being rude, and I don't want to be rude either. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, be patient. I start to get super anxious about it.
Well, we are all super anxious for Saturday night. WWE Payback, very exciting. It looks like a really good card. Again, several title matches, yours in there as you go to try to take on Rhea Ripley for this Raw Women's title. Good luck to you. Again, if you haven't got your tickets, get them now. PPG Paints Arena, or if you can't make it to Pittsburgh, check it out live on Peacock. Raquel, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you here soon.
Thank you, Justin. It was a pleasure talking to you.